She helped her best friend plan her dream wedding, then secretly stole the groom for herself. But what she didn't know was, the man she thought was a prince in shining Agbada was nothing but a broke liar in disguise. His bank account, just 734 Nigerian nairas. Her fairy tale, about to crash before it even began. In the lively streets of Lekki, where people dream big and spend fast, two best friends were known by everyone, Amaka and Tulu. They were like two sides of the same coin, always together, always trending. Amaka was the gentle one. Calm, quiet, and full of grace. She worked in a tech company, loved books, and believed in love. Tulu was bold. She loved fine things, fine clothes, and fine men. They were known as the Golden Girls of Lekki, always together, always slaying. From school to now, they had shared dreams, dresses, and even heartbreaks. But this time, something bigger was about to shake their friendship forever. Amaka knocked on Tulu's door, heart racing. Tulu opened up in a silk robe, sipping zobo. "Girl, what's the matter?" she asked, eyeing Amaka's excitement. Amaka said nothing. She just raised her left hand. A huge, sparkling 4-carat diamond ring danced in the sunlight. "I said yes," Amaka whispered, shaking. Tulu's jaw dropped. "Wait, Lekki proposed." Amaka nodded. "Last night. He blindfolded me, took me to a rooftop dinner in Victoria Island. There were candles, roses, violin, everything." Tulu hugged her, but her eyes didn't smile. "Wow, congrats," she whispered. But deep inside, her mind spun wildly. Lekki. That fine man with the G-Wagon and Italian suits. The man who always smelled like money and power. Tulu's heart burned, not with joy, but jealousy. That night, Amaka slept like a queen. Tulu stayed awake, scrolling through Lekki's Instagram. Lekki was the kind of man women prayed for. Tall, dark-skinned, always fresh. He wore designer shoes, sprayed perfume like power, and drove a black G-Wagon with silver rims that made people stop and stare. To the world, he was a big man. To Tulu, he was a challenge she was ready to win. She started small. She began dressing extra fine whenever she knew Lekki was around. Shorter skirts, brighter lipstick, louder laughs. If she knew he'd visit Amaka's place, she'd be there by chance, always looking her best. And Lekki noticed. He loved the chase. He stared too long, smiled too wide. One day, Tulu bent to pick her bag in front of him, slowly. He looked. She saw. The game began. At first, it was just eye contact. Then came soft, accidental touches. One day, Amaka went to the kitchen, and Lekki's phone buzzed. Tulu picked it up. "Nice shirt today. Made you look extra fine," Tulu said to him. She had sent the message boldly, without fear. Lekki looked up from his seat. Their eyes met. And he didn't stop her. The moment came faster than expected. Amaka traveled to Abuja for a 4-day work conference. She hugged Lekki goodbye, kissed him on the cheek, and left him with one message. "Take care of yourself, and don't miss me too much." But the moment she left, Tulu stepped in like a shadow waiting to rise. That same night, she called Lekki. "I made jollof rice and grilled turkey. Want some?" Lekki didn't say no. At 8 p.m., he came to her apartment. The food was hot, the lights were dim, and Tulu wore a dress that spoke louder than words. They talked, laughed, drank. Then silence. She stood up slowly, walked over to him, and whispered, "You know it should have been me." He didn't resist. He didn't run. And just like that, the line was crossed. They told themselves it was just one night. But one night became two. Two became secret messages. Secret messages became hotel room keys. By the time Amaka returned, Lekki had changed. He was cold, distant. He barely looked her in the eye. And Tulu, she became even sweeter, always checking on Amaka. always giving advice. Until one afternoon, Amaka got a call from Lekki. "I don't think we're right for each other anymore." Just like that, the engagement was off. Tulu sat with Amaka as she cried. She rubbed her back, held her hand, pretended to be a friend. She was happy Amaka was fully out of the picture. 3 months passed. Amaka was quiet, broken. Her dream wedding, gone. Her best friend, still smiling in her face. But something in her had changed. She no longer cried at night. She no longer begged Lekki to explain. She just watched. And then it happened. One sunny Saturday morning, Amaka opened Instagram to scroll lazily, but stopped cold. Her thumb froze over a post. It was Tulu, in a white gown, holding hands with Lekki. Her eyes filled with fake joy. The caption, #love1 #forever my baby #Mrs. Lekki 2025. Her heart skipped. She opened the full post and found a pre-wedding photo shoot. Tulu, wearing the exact style Amaka once described. The location, the same beach Amaka once planned. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was a public slap. The comment section buzzed. "You guys are perfect together. Oh, power couple goals. This love na die." And there, under the comments, was Tulu's fake reply to someone. "We've been through a lot, but God stood by us." Amaka smiled. It wasn't the smile of a heartbroken woman. It was the calm smile of someone who had seen enough, and was ready to let the storm speak for her. Meanwhile, Tulu was soaking in the attention. Her phone buzzed every second. Brands wanted her as a wedding ambassador. Vendors offered her free wedding cakes in exchange for tags. She walked into stores like a celebrity, flipping her braids and laughing like she owned the world. But what she didn't know was that the world she was building was a house made of paper, standing in the rain. The wedding was big. There were chandeliers, imported wines. Tulu wore a 1 million Nigerian nairas lace gown with stones that sparkled under the lights. Lekki wore white agbada with gold embroidery. The DJ played love songs. People danced. Phones clicked. Everything looked perfect. On the outside. The wedding had been loud, grand, and unforgettable. Tulu's Instagram still glowed with photos from that day. Her glittering dress, the golden decor, the endless smiles. People still sent her messages calling her lucky, blessed, and goals. But behind the pictures, something dark was already growing. It started small. 3 days after the wedding, Tulu woke up and noticed the G-Wagon was missing from the driveway. "Lekki," she said, yawning, "where's the car?" He smiled faintly, brushing his beard. "I sold it. For business. A new investment. Bigger money coming." Tulu blinked. "You sold the car. Just like that." He kissed her forehead. "Trust me, baby. You'll thank me soon." She forced a smile. Maybe it made sense. Maybe he knew what he was doing. But 1 week later, the fridge broke down. All the food went bad overnight. The smell hit her like a slap. She called the electrician. He arrived. Took one look at the fridge. Then dropped his tools and turned around. "Madam, I can't touch this thing. Your husband never pay me for the last repair I did months ago. I no want get walla." And he left. Tulu stood frozen in the kitchen. That same week, the generator stopped working. The DSTV subscription expired. The housekeeper packed her bags and left without saying goodbye. The electricity went off for 2 whole days. They lit candles at night like it was a village. And Lekki, he was always on the couch. Brows furrowed. Talking on the phone with vague words like delay, pending approval, and they're owing me. Tulu tried to stay calm. But her chest felt tight. She was sweating more than sleeping. One night, she finally asked him, "Lekki, what is going on?" He rubbed his forehead and gave her a tired smile. "Baby, it's just small cash flow issues. Business is slow right now. You know how Nigeria is. Everything will balance soon. But deep inside her, a silent fear was growing. That night, Lekki went to shower. He left his phone on the bed. Tulu stared at it. Her fingers trembled. Something told her, open it. She unlocked the phone. Opened his banking app. The screen loaded slowly. Then stopped. 734.52 Nigerian nairas. She gasped. She closed the app. Opened it again. Same thing. 734.52 Nigerian nairas. Her stomach turned. She tapped into his emails. The screen filled with red alerts. Final warning, loan default. Unpaid card balance. Transaction failed. Check rejected. Each subject line felt like a hammer hitting her chest. This wasn't just low on funds. This was debt. Danger. Disaster. She sat on the bed, legs shaking. Her mind raced, back to the proposal, the wedding, the fake smiles, the forced kisses, the rented apartment. She remembered how he always avoided money talk, how he never let her into the accounts. Now it all made sense. Lekki wasn't her prince. He was a shadow wearing shiny shoes. Her dream marriage. A nightmare with makeup. And her role in all of it. She wasn't the queen. She was the clown, wearing a borrowed crown in a collapsing castle. Tulu didn't cry. Not yet. She just sat there, silent. Cold. Afraid. Because deep down, she knew something worse was coming. While Tulu's dream marriage slowly turned into a scary movie, Amaka was rising. Quietly. Strongly. Beautifully. She had gotten a promotion at work. Her skin glowed. Her smile returned. And most importantly, she had found peace. But behind that peace was a secret. You see, Amaka didn't just sit back after the betrayal. She had suspected something even before the breakup. There was a night, weeks before the wedding, when she saw strange messages on Lekki's phone while he was in the bathroom. She didn't say a word. Instead, she hired someone. A private investigator. She paid him quietly and waited. What he brought back was more than she expected. Lekki was not a businessman. Lekki's real name wasn't Lekki. He had used multiple names to run online romance scams. He was a Yahoo boy, involved in fake cryptocurrency investments, fake online stores, and even romance frauds targeting foreign women. The G-Wagon belonged to one of his clients, a woman in Canada who sent him money thinking he was coming to marry her. The apartment. He moved in with a rich cousin and claimed it was his. And Tulu. There were camera footages of her and Lekki sneaking into hotels while Amaka was away. Voice recordings. Screenshots. Dates. Times. Amaka saw it all. But she didn't fight. She didn't argue. She didn't post a rant on Instagram. She just smiled and let the story write itself. On the day of Tulu's wedding, she even sent flowers. A bouquet of red roses with a simple card. Wishing you everything you deserve. 2 months after the wedding, Lekki vanished. No warning. No goodbye. Phone switched off. But Tulu waited thinking he needed some time to sort out the mess. 4 months later, Tulu was now a shadow of her old self, jobless and broke. She had blocked her comment section. She couldn't scroll Instagram without seeing someone else's perfect life. She barely slept. But on this day, something even heavier came. She heard a knock. She opened the door. A man in a black shirt stood there, holding a brown envelope. "Are you Tulu Adideo?" "Yes." The man gave her a long stare. "I'm from a private investigation firm. This was commissioned by someone who wanted to know the truth about Lekki Yude." He handed her the envelope and walked away. Tulu stared, confused. She opened it. Inside were photos, screenshots, and files, and one typed report at the top. Confidential dossier. Subject, Yude Lekki Kingsley aka Kelvin Yuba. Tulu's eyes widened. Wait. Kelvin. Tulu's phone fell from her hand. Everything she had believed was a lie. She didn't just lose her friend. She didn't just lose her pride. She lost herself to a man who never even existed. She sat down, staring at the report. Their wedding was a joke. He used the pictures to scam 2 foreign women, claiming she had died in a car crash after they married. Tulu screamed. She flipped through more documents, fake passports, account names, screenshots of romantic chats he had with women overseas. One even showed her wedding photos being used in a sob story about losing a pregnant wife. It hit her. She wasn't a wife. She was a widow to a lie. In panic, she began calling friends who once cheered her on, friends who danced at her wedding, friends who screamed "You won." None picked up. She messaged her old girls group. "Please, I need help. Urgently. Lekki has left." They read the message. No one replied. The once busy comment section of her Instagram became a ghost town. People unfollowed her. Influencers who reposted her wedding took down the pictures. And then came the knocks. Loan officers. Landlord. A lady who said Lekki owed her brother 600,000 Nigerian nairas. She locked herself inside. 1 week later, she had no choice. She took a night bus to Ibadan, dragging one small bag and hiding her face in shame. As she entered her parents' house, her mother looked at her and gasped. "Tulu, what happened?" She couldn't speak. She just dropped her bag and cried. Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of Lagos, Amaka was blooming. She had changed. She was no longer the quiet girl who cried into her pillow. She was now a woman who had seen pain and survived it. And love. Yes, love came again. Not loud. Not flashy. But true. His name was Ikenna, a calm, soft-spoken man who worked in the oil and gas sector. She met him during her Abuja trip, the same trip she had gone on when Lekki first cheated. They became friends. Then close. Then something more. Ikenna never boasted. He didn't wear designer shoes or drive fancy cars to impress. But he was kind, real, and wealthy in silence. 3 months into dating, he proposed. Not in public. Not for show. Just the two of them, at a peaceful garden. The ring. Not huge. But real. That night, Amaka posted a picture with a soft caption. "God writes better stories than betrayal." And somewhere in Ibadan, Tulu saw the post. She zoomed in. Amaka was glowing. Her eyes. Peaceful. Her smile. Pure. Tulu dropped her phone. And wept. 1 year passed. Tulu slowly started again. She got a small teaching job at a school in Ibadan. Her parents helped her heal. The shame faded, a little. One morning, as she waited at the bus stop, a black Prado SUV slowed beside her. The window rolled down. It was Amaka. In her passenger seat sat Ikenna, now her husband. Tulu froze. They made eye contact. Amaka didn't speak. She smiled, not with pride, not with hate. With peace. She nodded once. Then the car drove off. Tulu stood there, holding her bag, heart pounding. She whispered quietly to herself. She won. And for the first time, she meant it. Dear viewer, in life, patience is not weakness, and silence is not stupidity. Some people may betray you, steal from you, lie to you, or mock your kindness, but never forget this truth. Character lasts longer than charm. What is built on lies, envy, and shortcuts will always collapse with time. Tulu thought she had won because she got the man. But a stolen crown doesn't make you queen. And no matter how loud a lie speaks, truth doesn't need to shout, it only needs time. Amaka didn't fight dirty. She didn't drag or post or curse. She let life handle it. And life did it well. So, if you're ever betrayed, don't lose your peace trying to explain. Don't lower your values trying to compete. Because the truth is, karma is quiet. It doesn't make noise. But when it moves deeply. Just sit back, breathe, and let God write your story. Because the truth is, God writes better stories than betrayal. Thank you for watching this powerful story here on African Spicy Tales, where we bring real African drama, deep emotions, and unforgettable lessons to life. Did you enjoy this story? Were you shocked by Tulu's betrayal? And what would you do if your best friend stole your partner? Tell us in the comments. We want to hear your voice. Tap that like button if you felt the emotion. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a spicy new tale. Hit the notification bell to get the next story first. Until next time, stay kind, stay wise, and always remember, God writes better stories than betrayal.